would change, but he's down one time. No council members awarded the mayor has consistently got new post and then the following post for the last. Really, so now it's about 2 mayors, but 10,000. Yeah, there's a couple scrambled. That's right. Well, everybody had way, was that right? Mayor is moving false too. But there was others. I thought it was a job. The seat today, you can see the smell. Oh, God. I'm planning to have another update for you on the next phase of things. So
That's great.
more to come.
Okay, I'll think of it for a second. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you Steve Mark? I'm
No,
Chelsea.
not today.
Not today. It's next week, next Monday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're just early.
This is a working meeting. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't even ask. This is the worst. Oh, you guys next week? It's getting hard. Introduction. Yeah, it's somewhere. I didn't recognize him.
Is that the, that one we were,
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah. He's. Well, he ain't gonna get to say very much today.
I don't think I met you guys in cameras.
Portland running.
Good to meet you, Portland. I'm Fred. Good to meet you, Fred. So, yeah, all right. I'll shake your hand usually. Fred. Ryan.
Right. Ready? That way.
I think so.
If you want to know what an abandoned water is.
I
Would you park? I will just do that, probably in the video. I would leave.
All right, it is 6:30, February 2nd, 2025. I call this workshop to order. My name is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yeah, we do. Be my birthday.
Okay, item on agenda, presentation Clearwater Finance. Just turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. Good to be with you guys. New council, new era. And wanted to just take this opportunity to reintroduce ourselves. And make sure you're aware of kind of the services that we provide the city and then some of the projects that we're working on and some of those that may be coming up. But more importantly, just so you're aware of what's available to you. So as we do our best to support you and Chelsea and the rest of the staff, that we can do that to the best of our ability and get the most value out of the relationship as possible. So with that, we just have a quick presentation. Mentioned to the mayor, feel free to chime in if you have questions at any time. Really want this to be, collaborative, open, and so on. And then certainly at the end, we can answer any questions or talk about any specific items that you'd like to discuss. So with that, Chelsea, if you'll the next slide. So we'll just start at the beginning because this is really important because it's foundational for everything that we do is our mission, which is to help individuals and governments achieve their potential. So in this case, when we say individuals, that's the mayor, that's each of you, that's Chelsea, that's whoever it is that needs our help. We're going to put a really big focus on doing that. So if it's maybe it's just adding some support, some horsepower, maybe it's a little expertise, maybe it's, who knows, procuring some other service that's needed. If we can help you be successful, we're going to help you be successful, and we're really moving into our mission. So keeps it really easy from a prioritization, are we doing the right thing? Are we not? Well, if we can answer that question, that we're helping the mayor get things done for Buhl, then the answer is yes. If we're not, then we probably need to obey that. So you all need to understand that that's fundamental to who we are and how we do business. And then the way we do that, so that's kind of the why. The way we do that is our values. So it's connection, accountability, respect, and ethics. So again, that connection is paramount. So want to get to know you, your needs, something to help you. Accountability. So basically, we're going to do what we say we're going to do, and if we can't, we'll let you know and work through that together. But there's not going to be any question as to our accountability to you. Try to report really well, stay in touch really well, answer any questions. And be accountable to you. Respect, this is really important. So won't get into this too much in the presentation, but pretty much everyone on our staff has been on your side of the table, whether it be an elected official or a high level public servant or staff. So we respect that greatly. The last thing we want to do is come off as, hey, we know everything, we know your community. It's not good. That's not accurate. What we found is that if we can really listen and respect where you're coming from, what your constituency is telling you, we're going to be able to help you better. So we would be folly to presume otherwise. So let's actually do that. It's really respect you, fuel, and then how can we help there. And then ethics, so this is kind of one of those, say what you do, what you say. But it's also a requirement as, your fiduciary, as your municipal advisor, we have to regulatorily abide by the highest standards of ethics as well as fiduciary duty. So the next slide kind of gets into this a little bit. Go one more, talk through those. So as your municipal advisor, we are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, so national regulator, as well as the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board. So as such, we have duties to you. The first and foremost is a duty of loyalty. So the quick and dirty on that is we support your best interest, even above our own. So if something doesn't make sense, we're gonna let you know. If something can add value or a process or bid or something, we're duty bound to make sure we're acting in your best interest and that you're getting the best results possible. So that's a big deal. And then the duty of care, which is basically anything that we purport that we can do, that we actually can do that. So kind of goes without saying, but we want you to know that we have that duty to you. And if, for example, if someone staff says, hey, can you guys help us with XYZ, and we actually don't have that service, then we need to disclose that to you that we don't. But maybe we can help procure it or through another process, but that duty of care is a real thing as well. So I'm really proud to be the only Idaho headquartered municipal advisory firm, and this all over the state. So we're really proud of that, and again, hope that fiduciary duty means something and means something to the city of Buhl. So next slide. We can just go through these. This is in your packet. If you go to sleep at night, there's a good sleeping pill through some of our bio meetings. So this is something we'll just pause on real quick. It's important that you guys know that there's a lot of horsepower there. So all of this is just kind of a smattering of things that we commonly do for our municipal clients. You know, we kind of broken them up into kind of 6 major areas, but you know, we try to be again, as our mission, pretty much a utility knife for you all. And then we're always trying to add new stuff too, so that we can continue to be that go-to for everything that you need. So we'll talk specifically about some of those development services elements of the comp plan. You know, there's talk tonight a little bit about bonds and what we're doing there with the Idaho Bond Bank Authority. You guys are familiar with that. I just wanted to give a quick update there. You know, development related stuff, impact fees, things like that. You know, there's an element of economic development that's on folks' minds. How do we get more jobs here? How do we partner better with the chamber? Things like that that can play into that and have a whole host of tools and experience at your disposal there. And then maybe the next slide. So this is just an example of a process where you can see kind of how all those services would come to play. So this, actually, we could even give this a name. This would be very appropriate to the police building across the street. So helping with that from a planning perspective, kind of, hey, do you want to do this? Does this make sense? You know, does this fit into our, you know, priority from a community perspective? So kind of that first layer of the process is the plan piece. Comp plan certainly can play into that, informing those kinds of decisions. And then, you know, if there's an authorization element, so do we need to go to our voters, or is there a judicial process approve these types of projects. There's that piece. And then, of course, financing, so it's annual budgeting, making sure, you know, carving out money for that. It does need to be financed, helping do that. And then, once it's financed, obviously, the construction, so making sure you have a good qualified team to deliver it, timely and on budget, those kinds of things. And then you can kind of see underpinning all of that is public engagement, so making sure your public is aware, you know, press releases, social media, surveys. So that just kind of gives you a taste for how all the services that we provide would come into play. Another one that we'll mention tonight is the comp plan itself. So that's a big one, and particularly in the planning portion, but even just as a project, there's a lot of public engagement in that. There's certainly economic development. There's certainly a lot of elements to it. Finance, funding, how do you accomplish your plan, things like that. So, and I would just kind of highlight here, you see there's kind of like that, you know, circular element to it. Hopefully it's an evolutionary element where we do a really good job on one project, see it through, then that builds trust with the community. You know, they're able to see the tangible results of those decisions and then benefit from it. And then that helps with the next project and the next. So it's hey, you know, we're moving and we're doing what the community wants us to be doing and doing it in a fiduciary role. So helps you all as decision makers, helps your community being in line with the decisions you're making. Hopefully make your decisions even that much easier. It's one thing if you're out on a limb saying, hey, let's go do X, Y, Z. If your community's already said, hey, 80% of us want X, well,
It's pretty easy.
it makes it a lot easier and you're taking a lot less political risk. So maybe pause there. I know there was a lot that can be said there, but any questions about kind of us or how we work or? Okay. Go ahead. Oh. So with that said, we just wanted to spend a moment on how we're paid for, how that works. And again, want to highlight for you all that that's all available to you. Basically on call, and I'll explain now how that works. So this is just a screenshot of our master services agreement. So basically what this says is all of those services are there. And particularly also the advisory, the financial piece of it. But that being said, essentially that can be any project that can be pulled down and evaluated. So the next slide basically says if, actually next one, there we go. So the top there is essentially if any of those projects that you want done are under 30 hours of total time to do, then we will do them as what we call a retention project. So we are retained by you on an annual basis. So, and that's unlimited. So a lot of retainers are like, you're buying time, and then once that's exhausted, they'll charge you more or whatever. You know, ours is a flat annual rate that then you can, if it's 10 projects, great. If it's 20 projects, great. We want to be on call, ready to help you. So we're, you know, I think that we're trying to be that advisor to you. And then obviously if a project is over that, you know, like the comp plan, for example, we'll work with you to find ways to fund it. So in the case of the comp plan, it was, you know, getting a grant through the hospital or through the gym grant through the state to pay for it. So we'll work to do that, or it'll come to you in the form of scope. So, hey, if you really want to do X, Y, Z, and it's a project that's over that 30 hours, well, then it's a decision of you all, if you want to do that. So, but again, our intent is just to be of service. Chelsea can call us, Mayor can call us, you can call us whenever. Don't feel like you're gonna rack up a bill. Because we want you to call us.
I think that's how we found you, because we were looking at the cost of us doing a comp plan on our own, and I mean, it was upwards of like $100,000. It was obviously way more than we were able to spend as a city, so. Yeah, I think that was a great segue.
Well,
About
and
$100,000.
love toot our horn, right? Like, but yeah, if we can help, again, as a fiduciary, if we can help you not pay for that, and there's a way to do a grant or work through that. Again, we have to put your interest first and believe in that. So that's a good example of how we would do. Cool. And then as far as financings go, you see on that bottom part, those are done a little bit differently. And this would be how it's done with the bond banks refinancing that we're working through right now with the water and sewer loans. We're basically paid by a fee, but that's out of the financing itself. So you never come out of pocket for that. It's part of the financing. And then we're required to disclose to you how that fee works. So, okay, I think that's that. So that's kind of us. From talking with Chelsea and staff, they felt like it would be a good opportunity to get you all some training, for lack of a word, or open the door to maybe some questions for you all on roles, responsibilities, governance, all those kinds of things, answering questions that you may have, best practice or how other people are doing it or whatever may be on. So we'll kind of tee this up with that in mind, but totally would love your feedback and thoughts on how to, if there's anything we can add to that. So first and foremost, congratulations to those of you who are newly elected. That's a big deal. Like, it's basically taking on a campaign as like another full-time job and then some. It's like a startup business for how you run your advertising and all that. But now you're in the seat, so now what, right? So from that perspective, this is kind of obvious, but you guys are the governing body, you're the board directors, if you will, for the city as an organization. We'll talk a little bit more about the difference between mayor and council, because there's a difference there. The mayor obviously runs the meetings and is the chairman of the board, if you will, lack of a better term, but also is basically the CEO or the administrator under your form of government for the city. So he basically takes the decisions of the council and then works with staff to execute them. So that being said, the main role comes straight out of Idaho Code 5, Section 50. So if you want a lot of light reading, you can go read Section 50. That'll tell you exactly what your job is. But the meat of that is essentially to set policy. And when you say policy, the biggest area of that is your annual budget. So yes, you'll make, land use policy and decision. Yes, you do staff and organizational policy. Comp plan is a big piece of policy, but arguably the biggest thing we'll do every year and arguably should be your focus is that budgeting cycle. And that really drives a lot of the other policies, right? Because what you're going to spend your money on generally drives everything that mayor does, staff does, so on and so on. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, goes without saying, but it's amazing how but folks can get in a lot of trouble with that third item. So you have a fiduciary duty as well to your city above your own. So sometimes, and there's countless examples where people get sideways there, you know, maybe I've got a, you know, financial benefit if I approve this, whatever, you know. Just as long as you keep it at that level, that, hey, my role here is to represent the city, or city's interests, that will help keep that clean and quite frankly, drive the success of the city. So just a reminder on that, stay out of that murky mire if you can. Sometimes it gets crazy, and in that case, we would advise you to talk to the mayor and council and staff. And they can advise you, certainly your city attorney. Sometimes you may need to abstain from a decision if there's, you know, some conflict or whatever, and that's totally fine, totally common.
Especially in a small town.
Small town, yes. So just know that that's available to you, and that'll help a lot. And I think to the extent that, you know, I haven't heard anything from the city that would tell me otherwise, but it really does build trust from your community if they see that happening. Hey, you know what, I need to abstain from this vote for whatever reason. I think that's just good standard practice. And then this is really cool. And I would really encourage this to the extent possible, is just working collaboratively and transparently. You know, as a mayor, it's really hard to herd cats, right? And to get everybody on the same page to begin with. That's fine if you have a difference of opinion or a different approach on how to do something, but as long as that can be collaborative and constructive, you get a lot done, as opposed to, hey, you're not doing it the way I want, I'm taking my ball and going home. That just hurts the city, hurts the process. So be open to that collaboration. Obviously have your opinion. I mean, you're you know, members of the council and the mayor, like, you've been elected, and duly vested with that responsibility to voice your opinions. But to the extent that there can be collaboration, man, it's amazing what communities can get done for their citizens and for their people. So, yeah, I'll leave that aside.
That's gonna go both ways.
Yeah. Let's see, next slide. Okay, so when we kind of break it apart, yeah, the mayor is gonna run the meeting. He'll vote in the case of a tie. Otherwise, really, it's up to you all. He can bring agendas, he'll be the one to set the agenda. But if you have items, you can work through your chair, or, you know, however you guys like to function. But getting that to the mayor so that can be agendized and talked about. And then he's kind of the one that will play referee too. So forum, process, all those things, that's his role in the county. And then we talked about the administrative side. So once a decision's made, again, as the executive, it's his responsibility to make sure that that's delivered on. So staff, working with staff to get that done. I would say too, as a former community development director for the city of Meridian, when you're making decisions, pinging staff for their thoughts is a great idea. Because again, it's gonna be hard for the mayor to execute on something that staff's just like, what just happened? Do we have resources to do that? Is that in line with our plans? They will be a great help in your decision making. Not that not that they need to be the end all be all, because you are the ones that make the decision. But it's smart to they can help prioritize, they can help you. Yeah. So, just give a plug there for.
I mean, they're the day-to-day, I mean, we just show up twice a month, so.
I mean, I can give you countless, even from personal experience, just countless horror stories where council did something and you're just like, oh gosh, I don't even know how to begin to do that, let alone, happy about it. So, do you know what I'm saying? So there's great value, in just opening that up a bit. Especially when it comes to the budget, right? 'Cause again, that's your primary responsibility, policy making is the budget. So Chelsea's your best friend.
I did not realize when I got on council that that is, most of my energy will go towards our budget, like that is, I mean, we start now and August, September, I feel like we can see the light.
So, and to your point, I'd say 80% at least, maybe even more, of your decisions are gonna be baked into that budget anyway. So your priority, direction you wanna set, how the staff's gonna spend its time and resource, all that's gonna be that budget cycle. So keep that in mind. Okay, and then council, yeah, so the legislative authority, we talked about that. So kind of give it a little bit finer point, cities do it by ordinance. So if you want to make policy, it's by ordinance. So the budget is adopted by ordinance. You create urban renewal by ordinance, you make planning and zoning code change by ordinance. The comp plan will be adopted by ordinance, and amended if it's an update. Trying to think, impact fees, everything you do will be by ordinance, so every official action of the council. And yeah, budget approval. Again, there's a lot in between the lines there, but hopefully that just gives you a good taste for that. I would say too, a lot of communities do it differently. Sometimes they'll assign council liaisons to particular departments. Sometimes they just go through the mayor. But generally speaking, staff will do day to day, right? So it's not as effective for Ryan or whoever to go straight to, hey, Jeremy, what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing this? That's again, you're really in the policy lane, right? So work with mayor, work with staff to get your questions answered. But you can structure that however you like. Most cities of your size, that generally works well. So you have questions, hey, I ran into so-and-so at the supermarket, they were questioning X. Send that to the mayor, copy Chelsea, they can give you the answer. Now, if you want to do the liaison route, Meridian did that. It was kind of rotating. So every year you get a new department. So it's a good way to get educated. You'd also get very specific on specific budgets. So if somebody's over, working with Jason or Jeremy or whoever on a specific budget department, and then that rotates. So you learn all the budgets, all the departments. That can work well. But again, you want to stay out of the day-to-day. You're not there to tell Jeremy how to run a police force or Jason, hey, do this with the wastewater. You know what I mean? You're there to learn, you're there to be a sounding board and then work with the mayor to, hey, do we need another, I don't know, whatever, wastewater treatment operator, or hey, we need this vehicle, or you're in that case, you're just a liaison, a sounding board. Hey, this is kind of what I think, but again, council makes the decision, kind of thing. So can't keep that.
Do we currently do that? I know we have the library.
We just have a library
Yeah,
liaison.
we have some, like 30.
So yeah, I mean, it's probably fine, right? Because, you know, Buhl is what it is. Whereas Meridian, you have massive departments. I think they had over 1,000 employees, so it's really hard to get your arms around everything. So again, what works best for you, but again, stay in that policy lane. Mayor will appreciate it, staff will appreciate it. There's not 1,000 cooks in the kitchen, but you're getting the answers that you deserve, you know, as an executive of the city. They will respond to you, they will answer your questions, and then you can formulate policy around that. Hey, Mayor, I'd like to talk about X on the next council agenda.
During budget
Something like that.
season, we have a pretty extensive, like every department comes up before the council, and we have pretty extensive conversations on
And it's so valuable, right?
10, 15,
Yeah.
20-year plan, so, I feel like that kind of takes care of that liaison.
Right.
Cause it is,
You let them come
Yeah,
forward.
cause it's a slippery slope, because you do wanna stay out of the day-to-day, but how do you do that if you're meeting once a week or a month or
Yeah.
something like that, so.
Yeah.
Personally, I like how we have set it up.
Yeah. So not broke, don't fix it. But again, just, you'll help yourself, you'll help, mayor staff to deliver if you stay in that policy.
We'll just go for a ride one day, like you told
I
me.
will, yeah, well, I went on a ride along, and that was interesting.
I would highly recommend that. Go with
So we're
Jason.
driving around with Jason on that.
Yeah,
Listen to
go with Jeremy. Yeah, I mean, come see stuff. Yeah.
That brings up a good point, so when I got on council, and I think that we've done it twice now, we've had a tour, so we've
Yeah.
toured different areas, so I don't know if that's something that we could do again.
I,
Because it really opened my eyes to what everything looks like, how it operates, and, you know, cause I don't see the employees, so kind of, you know, gives me like a face, and, so yeah, I think that would be a benefit.
totally recommend that. I'm always, well, I will say this, you have incredible staff. Some of them are newer, but some of the best around, and we've seen a lot, you know, across the state and elsewhere, so. Yeah, let them toot their own horn, let them kind of show you what they're doing, empowering them a little bit can go a long way, and, you know, morale, so a lot of things. That's a great thought.
I know Jason was on board with it, I've mentioned it, and I said it once, and he's always, hey, whenever you want, so.
I mean, you could just do it during
He's
the
sharp.
meeting, I mean,
And touring it is good, going and seeing other, you know, seeing the actual assets is good. Seeing the condition of them, seeing what's going well, what's not. Again, you gotta be careful, cause if you're all there, you got a meeting, which is fine, you can just agendize it, but don't make any decision. But you can absorb information and do it. I think that's really valuable. Cool. Okay, next slide. So we talked about meetings, so kind of as we lead into that, so anytime you have a majority of your council, you have a meeting. So if there's ever a chance that that will happen, work with Chelsea, it's easy, just get it agendized. So if somebody wants to, from the public wants to participate or wants the minutes, great. It's always better to do that than not, and then someone's like, hey, what were you guys all doing at wherever? Then you have a problem, right? And you will be contrary to Idaho sunshine law, so open meeting law. So let's just know that, and that just kind of keeps you clean there. And then, of course, Chelsea will make it compliant, so noticing it, getting it out prior, all that. Goes without saying, so no decisions in private, so just keep it all in the meeting, where it's recorded. It's, you know, it's best done that way. Because it is just, it's a public trust and a public, responsibility.
Heard a lot about accidental use.
Yeah, so here's a couple that come
We're at a
up.
restaurant, we need this on the meeting. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, there's a practical side to this too, right? So you see here everyday risks. So a big one that we see a lot is kind of what they call your serial meeting via email. So it's
well,
the whole council gets copied on something. Then you start deliberating, hey, I don't like that. Somebody else, hey, I like that. Well, now you're in a meeting, you're making decisions, and was that noticed? That agendized? Is the public invited? You know, you can run into problems that way. So, but to the mayor's point, I would just encourage you, if we ever get 3 of you in a room, hey, I'm just gonna step out. We don't wanna run into a meeting problem. Or, hey, let's table this. Let's make sure the mayor and Kelsey know, let's get it on an agenda. Right? So it just makes it easy that way. Yeah, so this is a big one. We had a council member that loved the text during meetings. We ever do, Mayor Tammy, oh man, that is lit her up. She's like, do not do that. Cause again, it's a sidebar conversation, it's not being recorded. You are communicating about something on the agenda. Don't do that, right? It's not good practice. So again, if you have an issue, voice it in the meeting, have a question, just do it in the open process.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
We all are wrestlers. So we're always a wrestling match together. We just have to be apart.
Oh, so, yeah, let's be clear on that. If you're not talking about city business, there's no issue whatsoever for you guys being in the same room.
Okay.
But if you start talking about, hey, you know, that planning application that's coming up. Oh man, that's messed up. How are you gonna vote? You know what I mean? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
was just making sure so we can still hang out.
still be friends, yeah.
If I take me out of this,
Yeah.
section.
Yeah, keep wrestling. No issue, just, yeah, it
Well,
was,
sometimes it's no weird, especially
Yeah.
with kids, they'll be like, oh, look, there's all the council guys, like, hi.
yeah,
You know? 'Cause they don't do that.
yeah, and there's,
They're
there
excited.
may be something that you just can't avoid. There's a reception, but that does not, you're violating me.
Good.
Yeah, good question.
That was the very first. thing.
What's the-
They walked up and all the kids were like, ah, it's everybody council.
That's practice.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you can avoid even perception, that's ideal, but I'm not gonna tell you to not coach your kids or whatever, you know,
It's not like it just happened, and people
Yeah.
know, from the people in the
Yeah.
meeting, so.
Always, how's council going?
Who's there?
Good time.
Probably the quick answer is free. Did you come over? It's a council. Yeah, you should we talk more about it. Anyway. And again, if you're on your own, you're an elected official. I mean, the mayor knows this. People are going to ask, and particularly you have a responsibility to, hey, you know, we got the comp plan coming up. Are you guys chiming in on surveys? Or hey, you have a vested interest in this? You know, be aware, you know, this is a good thing for us, or you should be doing that, right? So don't feel like what I'm saying here is going to limit you in any way, with regards to your interaction with the public. It's just when you get 3 or more of you in a room, yeah, and you want to start talking about it, call the mayor, get it on the agenda. Okay. And then social media, oh jeez, yeah, there's a lot we can go down here. A lot of people love social media. Just be careful. You can get sideways and it can be a personal liability. If you're saying things related to policy, it can be a problem. So, well, again, it's always good to counsel with folks, hey, am I going overboard on this? You know, talk to your attorney. Have we implemented a social media policy for you all? Something we,
Not that I have been. I mean, we don't allow comments on
yeah,
our stuff,
yeah.
but I don't.
We're
So
done
was
with
the previous to the council will say, no, they're not.
So that might be something you may want to consider. How the city employees interact with social media, how elected officials interact with it. How the city will respond to constituent use of social media. There's kind of some value in having some established, at least guardrails. That you're all safe and know what it is and can be compliant with it, then also the public. If there's somebody swearing or being belligerent, hey, our policy is you're done, we're not, that's not allowed, that will be not tolerated. So you have that backing, so maybe it's something to consider, and that would be a great example of like a quick little team project where we could wrap that up and
Tim was talking about something
do
about
that.
Yeah.
He said something,
I think that would be wise,
yeah.
I mean, because the city does not have comments on their Facebook page, but we have another forum in our town that goes sideways real quick, so.
Okay, yeah. And that just gives mayor, staff, guidance, how to deal with that. It can alleviate a lot of pressure when, in the absence of it, it's just kind of like, oh gosh, like, be a problem.
Well, I'm hoping that having our meetings streamed and people can actually watch them, then I'm really hoping that alleviates a lot of that unnecessary, cause they just don't, I mean.
Yeah.
They just didn't understand it or know, and so if someone can actually look at our meetings and say, hey, this is actually what was said, or this is what they talked about, then. My hope is that it will kind of dissipate, but.
I think it's a great defensive tool, right? Because if you're not doing it, well then why aren't you, and what is going on?
Yeah.
And then if you are doing it, well, hey, did you watch the video? It's a great defense, because you've already preempted a lot of issues that way. And then if there is issue, well, then address it. Report it.
It's
Yeah.
not on there.
It's on there. So, yeah, no, it's good. I think, 100%, it's a great way to go and to provide a good, open process to it. All right, next one. So again, best practice in public, clear record. I think you've got a great process, great staff in that regard. There's been nothing that we've seen that's of issue. And then we talked about serial communication. So just, if something is sent to all the council, just always have that disclaimer that says, please do not respond all. That's a good.
It's great if I never respond to all.
And sometimes we can't help it, because sometimes it'll be a constituent and they'll, you know, message all of us, but. And that's something we can't help,
Nope.
so.
Yeah, just don't respond. And then the mayor will make sure, Chelsea will make sure that it gets on an agenda if you want to bring it up, or that it gets filed in the proper, application or whatever, so. And then, yeah, there's a lot of.
Somebody was sleeping, how's this all? But, is that
Yeah,
you?
yeah, if someone has every single person,
And they don't
I'll
know.
go ahead and give that to
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay. And then ethics, we've kind of hit all of this. Again, if you've got a conflict, just voice it. It's not a big deal. It happens. And by doing so, you're going to engender trust in the process. When you don't, and even if it's kind of a question, it's always good to voice it. Hey, I don't know if this is a conflict. You know, let's talk to the city attorney about it, so you can get that advice. Because it's just better to be on the right side of that. And yeah, I'm staying. Next. Okay, so we've talked a lot about this as well. Yeah, just respect that operational boundary. Mayor will make sure it gets done, right? And then just by giving staff that professional difference, you really do empower them. You know, having been on that side of things, I think this kind of leads into the DNA of our company. It's like, we want to do a really good job. Staff wants to do a good job. They're not generally public service for the dollar, right? It's because they love their community and they want to do a good job, really good at what they do, qualified, certified, so forth. And so you all trusting that and showing that professional deference is huge. Now, if there are issues, competence or whatever, lack of training, it's a great conversation to have in mayor executive session. Can work on those things together as a board or as a council. That's totally appropriate. But again, they're your arms, legs, hands, eyes, your brain. Like they get it done. So showing them that difference really, really fun. And then, yeah, when you take action, and the mayor will get really good at this, make sure that that direction is very clear, detailed, and articulated. Because again, as staff, if I didn't know what the heck you just said, then I'm not gonna be able to deliver what you asked me to do, or even the community, right? If I'm unclear as to what that meant or whatever, well, it's like, are they doing what they said or are they not? You know, so just as a good practice, try to articulate those motions, try to articulate kind of action as best you can. And then if there is question, it's totally appropriate, and don't feel like anyone's hounding you or, you know, you made a mistake or whatever. But the mayor may ask you, so did you mean X, Y, Z? Is that what you wanted to do or what you want done? Or staff may pipe in and say, you know, just want to be clear, you want us to do X, Y, Z. And that's good. You want that, right? I sit on the board for the Idaho 529 College Savings Program. And it's awesome because there's a lot of really smart people in that room. There's constitutional officers and I'm just kind of, you know, the finance guy. And it's very common for staff to hammer on the government. So thank you for the motion. Just want to make sure we understood what you said. So again, it's good practice to be clear with action in particular. Okay. So here's just a couple things that we've seen. And this is something I'm just going to empower you all to ask questions and ask them early. Because the worst thing you could do is have this nagging question that's early on in conversation. You get all the way to the decision, you know, there's already a motion on the table. Mayor's already asked, hey, you know, this, that, or the other. And then you don't ask it. And then you're kind of begrudgingly saying yes, or kind of you say no because you weren't sure. Well, if you would have just asked the question earlier on, hey, am I on the same page here? Do I understand the implication of this? That could be addressed, can produce a good, robust conversation. That's what you want. You don't wanna get to the end of it and not say anything and then be stuck with something that you weren't quite yay or nay, right? So come to that conclusion yourself. If you're not, do that that way. Make sure you're asking questions to where you are comfortable. So. And then, again, part of our purpose, certainly staff, legal counsel, we're here at your beck and call. So if you have a question about whatever, impact fees, if you want training on that, how does it work? Well, let's get you training. Let's make sure you know what it is that you're considering, whatever it is. So you have good professional resources that can support. So you can make good decisions for the community. And again, I would just reflect back to your staff. If you have a question about police best practice, or whatever, or hey, what's the status of the new building, or whatever. Ask that question, get them, getting you that information and love to give. It's good. And this goes without saying, civility and professionalism. Yeah, no harm, no foul in your opinion. Like, you've been elected. And you've been elected because you got an opinion. So completely entitled to that. Where you don't want to go is, whatever, personal attack, or that's a dumb idea. Well, I see it this way. And I'm pretty firm. And here's why. As opposed to, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of keeping it at that level does a lot for, other participants potentially who have strong opinions as well. And you guys set the tone with the council. Oh no, you're good. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, and then just keeping the focus on the city, right? So we talked about that in the conflict arena, but again, where you guys, we were sitting around the table saying, your focus is always, hey, what's gonna be best for Buhl? That question is always ringing in your head with every decision. Hey, you've got this, planning and zoning application, calls for a zoning change. Is this in Buhl's best interest? And if you're asking yourself that question, great job. People are gonna really appreciate it. And then here's just some code references for you. So if you guys wanted to take a deeper dive anymore there. And then I would just, again, you've got great staff, great city council, city attorney, certainly we're available. So if there's any questions that you have, hey, what is the best practice on zoning code, or hey, we've got this funky, whatever, planned unit development that's come in, we've never seen it before. How do we do these? Hey, how do we get more businesses here? Hey, how do we get higher wage jobs? What do we do well? What can we work on? One cool retainer project that we did last year was the sanitation. Like, hey, is this a good bang for our buck? We're providing it to our citizens. Let's RFP that. Well, come find out, it's pretty expensive out there in the private world.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Awesome. We're doing a good job. So let's keep doing that. So again, just empower you guys to, get the information you need to make good decisions. And we're happy to and ready and willing to assist. Okay, real quick, couple of updates. So the comp plan, so high level, I know you guys have probably seen this around, you've probably seen some social media posts, the surveys and some of the press releases, but we're now into kind of the second phase of the project, which is a lot more of the community involvement. So you've done quite a bit of research on kind of what matters to the community, and we plan to give you guys an update on a lot of this. So, there's basically 17 areas, 18 areas of the comp plan. And we've done a lot of research, surveys, stakeholder engagement. And we want to make sure you are all back up to date on all of that, because that is really cool data. Tells you what people are thinking, what they care about, what they don't. And kind of how they want to proceed with the future of Buhl. Super cool information. We'll make sure to get that on to you. And then we're going to start now into what we call a steering committee for citizens committee, where their job is to basically just digest all that information and start to give recommendation to what this plan is. Then that'll go, and you'll get updates throughout the whole thing. So don't feel like you're gonna get shortchanged. You're gonna get all that information. But it'll go through that process. It'll go through P&Z draft process. It'll come to you guys. You'll have a chance to, formally weigh in, but again, you'll be brought along the whole way. And you'll get an ordinance to adopt that sucker. And then the job of them. So a lot on that bone, but we'll be working with staff basically on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Sometimes more, we're doing open houses for other activities related to it. But it's fun. You guys will you'll be all this and through the top five process. So I don't know, pause there, questions that you have. Again, we will be getting you an update, and some of you for the first time we've seen some, that's some that you edited, but it's really good info.
Is it only online or is there for pamphlets? Cause you're holding some other
The
stuff.
survey,
Yeah,
we have some paper, there's some paper copies actually on that table, Brandon.
it's like my grandpa, he's not gonna do it online.
I agree. That was the decision early on to make paper available. So, yeah, if you haven't run into any issue with that, let us know.
So wasn't it just you though?
We're still taking them.
Okay.
We had the mini survey, that just closed. February-ish. But the survey itself is still open.
Yes.
We'll still take the.
Don't we need younger demographics that, what was it, 19 to?
Yeah, it goes
Younger.
younger than 19.
Like really.
Full responses total. So we've had some discussion about that, but yeah, we'd love to have more the better, right? That just is a better result.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have more meetings.
One thing that we haven't actually talked about, but a lot of communities will have a youth liaison on their community citizens committee. So that might be a way to do it. If there's a sharp kid that is involved in a lot of things, give a voice to that and consider that.
I love that idea. I
Yeah.
think that that's really important to get your youth into government and how things work in your
Yeah.
city and.
Be a civic lesson, but it's also, for Pete's sake, those comp plans are long range, right? 20 years at a minimum. So you all are setting policy for, a teenager now is going to be in his 30s or her 30s when the comp plans, expired. So involving them is a great idea.
There's some for student body president, a big one.
Yeah, so you got 10-year-old. We're talking about, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, it'll be coming back here.
Harry,
So, all that, we need to know what's the 10 and 12 and 15 year
You have a place here. It's the community you want to be. So, no, absolutely. Yeah, one of the exercises we like to do with young crowds, and even we'll do this with the citizens. We'll go sit out right there, main corner, and say, close your eyes. What does Buhl look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What are people doing? And what do the buildings look like? Are the cars driving down the street? Are they flying? I mean, it's just kind of a cool way to just open your brain to, look, we're not here now, we're trying to look down the road. Cool, any other questions? And again, we'll get you a bigger update on this pretty quick here. So it's a lot more coming up. It's been awesome. Yeah, so that's that. And yeah, I think that's all we had, y'all. What other questions do you have? What else came to mind through the talking? Process, organization.
So it's pretty much
Projects.
a lot more than just financial.
What we do?
Well, no, guess back.
Yeah. Hopefully you feel like you've got an arsenal. That's really our intent, is to really get you good service. And again, yeah, speaking up for your staff, love working with your staff. They're great. So,
I do have a couple questions.
Yeah.
A lot of them were, well, one maybe was brought up when we went to, the city officials day, but one of the concerns that we had as an old council and the new council is going to have to figure this out is that our utility bill, which is always a very fun conversation to have. We, the prior council was increasing it slowly so that we could maintain our facilities and make sure we didn't have any major problems. But when I went to city officials day, there's towns that are at that point where they need to replace their whole facility, and you're looking at millions of dollars, $130 million. And so I don't know if that's something that we could use you for just down the road. We're not in that position, but I don't want to have another bond that we have to, and ours, what was it, 30 million? I mean,
yeah.
but that is so small compared to what I'm hearing from other cities when they have to replace their water treatment, their wastewater. I mean, it is frightening. So I didn't know if that's.
Perfect example, yes, and this is a great conversation, quite frankly, because we've been having stuff around this. This is exactly why we're refinancing the current bonds.
Yeah.
Is because that's a great way to reduce costs and to help save money. Then what the question is, to your point, what do you do with that savings? Do you reduce rates? Because if you do that, well, then maybe you're shortchanging it. So
You don't have the money that you're gonna have.
that
You don't wanna
you're
ask-
gonna need.
You don't wanna ask them for more money if you can, yeah, I know, it's, again, those are all
Yeah,
conversations we'll have as a council, but
yeah, great example. So we can help up and down that process. So it's basically doing a rate study for the utilities. Does it make sense to keep going the incremental route? Do you want to start making bigger jumps, knowing that things are on the horizon? How to minimize that? Start looking for grants and other things. The other two is making it in a way that's palatable for the community. Like, you have to take into consideration, well, if we wait, as much as it can be a political carrot to not adjust rates, well, not adjusting rates can be,
it's gonna catch up with
it's
some
gonna be a
eventually.
problem if you don't do it over time, because then it'll be a big jump. So it's kind of like the frog in the pot, if you do it by degrees, it's all good. But if you do it too quickly, it can be a big problem politically and otherwise.
And I do
So-
think that it's very vital to have your input
Yeah,
from your citizens to say, okay, well,
100%.
do we do it this way? And then we can have that money so that in the event that we have this huge facility that we
Yes.
need to upgrade, or like, what do you want? But that is a really big issue in our town is our utility bill. It's created a lot of issues. And so I'm hoping that we can work together and gain that trust and say, we're trying to maintain, we're trying to make sure that our facilities are working. But they are very expensive.
Yes. Well, and you bring up a good point too for Buhl in particular, where you guys bring on a 20-unit subdivision. Yeah, and brilliant, that's a drop in the bucket, but for you all, that's a big deal. Especially from a utility delivery perspective, now what? It's like, how do we pay for that? How do we make sure the developer pays for that? Is this-
We don't pay for it.
Exactly. So impact fees or combination of hookup and connection and. Anyway, so yes, short answer, that's probably something we should start talking about sooner than later, work with Jason on. Yeah, because again, front end planning goes a long way with those kind of things and involving the community in that discussion as well. So they're not surprised, hey, what the heck, why did my bill go up so much? No. We're gonna bring you along in the whole thing. You're gonna know why it's same real time, same time that everybody else is. So we can make a decision. No, great point. I don't know if that was reflects price. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, no, great question.
Corrections have been coming from a different perspective. I don't like that raising.
Yeah.
I would rather come at it from why do we need this? Let's go from the source that's causing us to need this. And if we do subdivisions, we don't have much for an impact fee here. And
Right. Yeah.
of
So,
course, that's bringing people over here because it's how.
yeah, and so so I think that this kind of leads into a good, I mean, it's a kind of a comp plan hot topic is, economic development. So how do you make sure that Melvin is paying for itself? Not a burden on existing users or existing citizens, but then ultimately, how do you pay for it? 'Cause sometimes it comes back in arrears or in a road that Jason's got to, hey, you all are going to approve. And again, this is where consultation with staff and plans are really important. Is hey, if you're going to approve this 20-unit subdivision, just know that I'm going to have to serve that, or Jeremy's going to have to get cops there, or you know what I mean. There's an impact to everything. Now, to the mayor's point, when we make that decision, it can't be a net negative. It's gotta be a net positive, right? Because if we're going net negative, well, we're just on a slow spiral. So that is where we can be very helpful. Make sure that if policy needs to be set, impact fees need to be implemented. If we need to take a hard look at rates, we need to start planning for upgrades that we're ahead of that.
And if your growth is more than 8%, you cannot recoup that
Toast.
based on what the legislature has approved. And
Yes.
that is very frustrating. And I
Yes.
had some hope. They had a whole survey for people to fill out and how that bill has really affected our cities in a negative way.
Devastating.
So
Yeah.
354,
389.
3.
Yeah.
What's the response on the survey for the comprehensive plan? Has it been?
It's been awesome.
has it been-
Yeah. I mean, you always want 100%, right? But to some folks just don't take it or whatever, but we want to get it to everybody. I think on the first one we had, I want to say it was like 700 responses. I can't remember the exact number.
It
And then-
was 321.
Oh, there's Abby. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, 321 on the first survey.
Okay, thank you. That's probably. But yeah, a good response. But again, our feeling is, hey, it's still open, get people, great tool for you all, right? Hey, you're concerned about stuff, now's the time to chime in, let's you know, make your voice known, this is the opportunity, so.
I think I have you guys on next week's agenda, to give an update, so
Oh,
we'll have some more. You'll be able to go into more detail, I think, there.
Yep, yeah, and then we'll be back, what is it, 17th for the ribbon cutting or whatever,
Oh,
is that, I can't remember. the date.
So,
So, yeah, we'll be back a little bit. Yes, so we're here. We'll be hanging out, yep. Abby, did I miss anything?
Nope, not at all. This was great.
Other questions, council? Oh, the meeting, river cutting. It's during the day, right?
yes, I wanna say it. I'll get the official details, I wanna say 9 to 10 is like for council and then 10 to 11 is open to the public. But I'll get official details.
Well, ribbon cutting is right before the, or after,
And are we,
the 2 hours of touring it.
yeah, Abby, are we doing a press release for that?
We've talked about it. Yeah, that's on our agenda for Thursday to ask if they'd like some help with that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Any other questions? It's been awesome. I really appreciate your time. Again, great congratulations on your elections, and yeah, just know that I'm a phone call away. Abby, who supports us, as well as Sheridan. City, we're always here. And hang out with Chelsea a lot too. She can find us. Oh, and then I would just give you a quick update on the bonding. So the meeting for that is next Tuesday. Chelsea and Jason will be on there. We've answered all of their questions, so we anticipate, you know, barring anything crazy, approval there. And then we would be into an issuance process. So likely be in the next 2 to 3 months, we would come back and report on the results. So you're aware, again, in line with our fiduciary duty, requested that it be done through a competitive bond sale. So every bank, investment firm in the country is going to get a chance at those bonds. And they love Idaho bonds. So we anticipate a lot of participation, and when we get a lot of participation, that's good for you all. It's lower rates, more savings, and we'll come back with the results of that. Again, barring complication report. So we'll keep you posted there. Oh, and then just really quickly, we reported this to Chelsea and Jason. Rates are really good right now. We've seen kind of a steady trend downward. And then the Federal Reserve, as you may know, they held rates in their last meeting. So again, hopefully we get this approved and we can get into this market and save the city a lot. Or keep your rates. I don't know. Future decisions, but we'd like to at least give you that option. Once we get it done. Yeah. Okay, thank you all.
Yes. Thank you.